Okay, so I pulled up the Logic session here for this Blurstem album, Fallen Fragments. The whole album, 8 songs, is all right here in this one Logic session. Um, I kind of, yeah, when I was just like writing, producing these bits and pieces, I didn't know, if I was wanting to write a full album or what it would turn into, and it just kind of like developed all within here. And I love when songs blend into each other, and I've always loved that just as a music fan, and I do it occasionally here and there with my music. Um, I just decided, like, why not have a full album, 8 songs that are gonna blend, they all just blend with each other. So in that case, it's all right there rather than like having a separate Logic session for each song. I wanted them to blend, and you'll see that with like how I do that with like reverb tails and delays and things like that, and just the audio itself. But yeah, it's all there. You can kind of see these are all grouped. If I ungroup everything, it looks like that. That's all the files right there. And most of this album was founded on just finding and using old piano recordings, mostly just improv bits and pieces. About 8, 9 years ago, I was writing just a ton on our spinet piano out there, felted late at night. And yeah, I was just like kind of like digging through old recordings from that era. And I like the idea of kind of like uh, an ode back to my first Blurstem album, and that's also when my moniker Blurstem, this project, like started. And so my first album, called Among the Oaks, was when I was writing a lot of these piano recordings, and so it's just like using a lot of bits and pieces from that time, and it kind of like alludes back to that first album. Fragments, Fallen Fragments, that's kind of the idea there. So the way I found these, and just kind of like, I use Soundly, this software program. It's kind of like a sound effects database software. I use it for music. I love it. It's and they're good people there. I'm doing doing a video with them right now, actually, separate from this. But yeah, so I use it sort of like, think of it just as like a Finder, Mac Finder, just like finding files, but it's all audio files. And I'll just type in, you could filter it, whatever you want. I'll type in piano or piano, sometimes I'll name recordings, that, and just find stuff. And what I like about it is I can process it a little bit, or just select, like, say it's a 5-minute song, I can just select 10 seconds if I want before I drag that into Logic. So that's what I do a lot with a lot of things, but especially with this album. So I would just search piano and see what I come up with, like, okay, so that's from the piano that I'm using for this album, and I would just select this and maybe use that as a piece as a basis for one of the songs. Reverse it, could EQ it beforehand, whatever it may be. You'll kind of see, like, as we go through the album in Logic here, why that I use that a lot, and how that kind of like helped inform a lot of the songs. So with that being said, yeah, I'll just like walk through this entire album. There's not a ton to it. Simplicity and repetition, mood, emotion, those are the things that are kind of going for here. There's nothing fancy, there's nothing elaborate, there's nothing super layered. And that's kind of the point with this. That's kind of the idea with this whole album. In general, the greenish blue stuff here is like more raw-ish piano recordings, natural piano recordings, though I process those, as you see here and there. And then the piano, or the pink and purple stuff is generally more ambient, reverbed out type stuff. So yeah, but yeah, this first song, called Leftover Notes, starts with just a couple basic piano recordings, like I was saying, panned left and right, a little bit of verb on the bus there, but natural. I just found these recordings more natural, more organic, just to start with that. Start the album with, yeah, piano improv. That's kind of is the basis of what we're doing here, and then from there we get a little more experimental throughout. But yeah, I wanted to pan left and right there. There's Rhodes recordings here, and this is a layer that I just wanted to ambientize, if you will. I pitched one down here, so I'm just like finding the recordings. There's one song you'll see that I played something on. Everything else is just like found recordings that I warped and pitched and duplicated and layered and processed and all that. But yeah, I love the idea of like using Rhodes for a soundscape, if you will, on ambient bed alongside the piano. Yeah, on this bus, or on this group, cloud setting of Replica XT, delay, filtering, some EQ cutting. Nothing crazy, but it just creates this ambient bed. That's essentially the first song. I'll often do this where I take a piece, like looking back at the piano recordings here, and I'll duplicate it and just kind of like throw things randomly on the timeline and then listen back and see what feels good. I do that a lot in this album. All right, so I'll jump to the end of the first song, and we kind of just blend into the second song, 8 Years, which starts with more ambient Rhodes here, with some Echo Boy, delay. And this is the first instance you'll see here on this track, this piano track here, of just repetition, looping over and over. And in this case, I'm just using Logic. Just have that short recording here, solo it. So it's just like a chord arpeggio, it sounds like, and just looping it over and over. With effects here, of course, I've got tape delay, reverb, auto filter, good hertz low-high filter, and then just cutting out some of the very lows there with EQ. Repetition over and over, just kind of creating a meditative state through that, and then adding layers on top of that. That's the idea with a lot of this stuff on this album. Working with some automation and all that. But this is the basis foundation of that second song. Solo this again. I'll let you hear this dry, just the loop dry. Just sounds like this. So that's the loop. The raw audio, so simple. Add in back the effects, and on solo so you can hear the full song. And then down here, just bits and pieces throughout. Some heavily processed, like this one. I'm only keeping, around 800 to 1K in there as far as EQ, and then using Audio Things texture as sort of like a pseudo granular reverb thing. Octave down, it looks like there. Same thing for this. It will solo that so you can hear it. You could tell, like, when you listen to these piano recordings just as is, it's like some of them are like so improv that it's just like they almost sound off or wrong, and I like that, if it fits, as long as it's not so jarring and within the key still. I kind of just was like, I like just the human feel of just like bits and pieces sprinkled throughout, you know what I'm saying? So, okay, that sounds like the same. Oh, maybe it's not the same. I was thinking it's the same recording as the loop. It could be. It's just like processed differently, of course. Yeah. Again, first taste of just like really leaning on repetition. Let's jump to the end of the second song here, and then the third song. blends into the third song. As If Yesterday is the title of the third song. Repetition again here, just tiny bits and pieces, but as you can see, the purple layers, it's a little more acting as like ambient swells. Some of them are reversed, some of them are forward, but they're all running through, you know, reverb. I got black hole reverb. I've got a cassette emulator here by Waves Factory. I love this plugin. I use cassette a ton, like real cassette over here as well. I did not on this album. I worked fast. I produced this whole thing. Obviously I didn't write all the pieces because I'm harvesting from old recordings, but I produced the entire thing in a day, and I just wanted to work fast in Logic in the box. Make creative decisions on the fly. So just like consistent swells over and over. And then the piano piece down here. I'll mute all the plugins. As is, very soft, simple. Then we've got Valve compressor, we've got wires, we've got EQ filtering out some highs and lows. Okay, so I've almost got like mastering pseudo type processing on this one with the limiter. Heavy supermassive Valhalla, and then Mondo Mod doing subtle panning. So here, repetition again, but more on the ambient side, just the swells, as opposed to second song, which is more on the, you know, natural piano side. Here we blend in probably with heavy delay. Yeah, using this cloud setting on the Replica XT into the fourth song called Younger. So that would just slowly fade out into here. More similar feels. Siguro setting on the black hole, of course, which I love, but I always take the feedback and resonance way down. Otherwise, it's like very aggressive in certain frequencies I've found, which can be cool. Yeah, okay. Pedal board, preset. Stereo delay. Just throwing paint at the wall with effects, with reverb, with delay, with distortion, with chorus, modulation, things like that. Then we've got piano come in here. Yes, so this is the one song I mentioned where I'm like, I did not harvest these piano recordings from 8-9 years ago like everything else. I wanted one song where I'm like writing something day of, you know, so this piano, still in the feel and the mood of the rest of the album, but I was just like, let's have one song where it's like, you know, a new idea, still in the character of everything else. Jump ahead to the end of this song, and we're on the fifth song, Fluidity. You can see piano blend fading out into the blend of the new song. More swells here with the purple, more repetition. This one's very simple on both ends, both the ambient and the more natural piano. So yeah, a lot of what I do with Blurstem these days is like, I want to like blend the two worlds of like soft piano, neoclassical world, and then just pure experimental ambient. So compositional, ambient, whatever you want to call it, but I love these two worlds of like simple, slow melody, simple, slow progressions, and then of course soundscapes and just mood, and then with that just like constant experimentation with you know, everything, with pitching up and down, warping, slowing down, effects, reverb, tape, that's just the idea of like what I'm doing with a lot of Blurstem stuff, and you can see it here with this album. Very soft, very simple. Jump to the end of this one. Next song is called With Still Time. Start with some ambient beds here, ambient layers. So these first 4 tracks here, these are all the same track, just like duplicated and processed differently, panned left and right. You could see some up the middle. And then of course just placed on different spots along the timeline. So let's solo these just to see what I'm doing here. So it's just very high end, like it's almost like it doesn't have to be a specific chord. So that's why it kind of works as sort of a bed to like, I'm gonna duplicate and place it down the timeline, and just like, it just acts as sort of a, you know, sprinkling on top of whatever we're doing elsewhere. So I've got this first one here, the second one is like a guitar amp emulator, very soft, subtle chorus, tal chorus, like it's like the Juno 60 chorus emulator, vintage verb. And that one was panned left, this one's panned right. Sort of more of the same with some chorus effects, just different flavors, if you will. Echo Boy, some delay there. Yeah, okay, so it looks like I'm doing a lot of guitar amp emulation here. Using a lot of guitar rig, but there's a tape echo in there, filter in there. And then down here, bits and pieces, and it sounds like really lo-fiing that out with like, you can hear the warbly wobble, wow and flutter with that, filter, decapitator for some distortion. And then the piano, it's just chords. This also is the same recording, duplicated over and over. Simple processing. There's some tape delay on the first one, otherwise it's fairly natural, but as you can see here, this +12, I took the recordings, placed them in different spots, sort of, and I wanted these to act as almost like natural delays here. So I'll go to the first chord. This is the original here, with a tape delay. This is the same thing, same spot, but octave up, which I just did in Logic. You get weird digital artifacts when you do that sometimes, but I like it. You know, I like it layered in, depending on what you're going for. And then I just like copied and, you know, duplicated both of those, and they're just a little bit down the timeline, sort of to act almost as a delay if you just listen to these piano chords as is. You know, they fade in that. Here, let me jump ahead so you can hear that full volume. Very soft, but almost like pan left or right, like different, almost like a delay, but I'm just using the same recording duplicated to a new track. So yeah, very just chord based. I'm gonna jump to the end of this one. That's right, and I just repeat this chord in blending into the next song. All right. Warm Nights, the 7th song on the album, second to last. A lot of duplicating in, copy and pasting, and just doing different things with the different tracks here. And this is just I think that's just a 1 to 3 chord over and over and over. Again, repetition, mood, just trying to gradually build this emotion, but not through different parts, not through the music per se, just through the gradual introducing different layers and effects along the way. So you can hear this lighter blue come in. These are pitched up an octave, okay? So it's the same stuff, pitched up an octave. And then eventually we'll have these pink layers here, which are gonna be, of course, more ambient layers. I'll kind of show you the plugins on that coming up. Filter, guitar rig again, vintage verb, Palace, 76% heavy. So very ambientized. That's this stuff here. I'll solo the. So again, you know, I have what? 4, 8, 12, 16 tracks here. But it's literally all just like 2 chords in the same recording. It's just like making decisions in Logic with effects, with where they are at, with where they are lined up, and blending those in different ways. Repetition over and over, but gradual. So it's like a lot of depth to it. It's not just repeat this and don't change it. It's just like slowly but surely building that emotion along the way. I'm going to jump to the end of the song, and then we're blending into the last song on the album, What You May Find. More of the same, natural piano piece I found, super simple chord, and then creating textures here. You can hear reverse things happening, Bit Crusher, Space Designer, filter. Okay, cool. A pumping, you know, this X is like an automatic sidechain compression, the one knob pumper, which can be kind of fun in like slow ambient music. You know, you generally hear that a lot with like, you know, a kick drum with electronic music, things like that. But I like to mix it in here and there with this type of music too. What else we got? Really soft ambience here. Is that like a Rhodes? Oh, that might be like a full song or ambient bed that I just like really filtering out. Can barely hear it. It's just mixed in there. Yeah, automation is very low. Automates up, automates down. We've got flute effects. This is my friend John Meyer and his sampler. Flute violin. And then it ends the album just like we started the album. Natural piano. So as you can see, we've got these riffs up here, we've got the ambient stuff, and then it kind of fades out, the pink and purple, and we end the album. I wanted to end the album just like we started it, with simple, natural piano improv, left and right, kind of randomly placed on the timeline here. Jump ahead, and that's what you hear to end it. I was looking back, these might actually be the same recordings as how we started the album up here. I'm not positive, but that might be the case. But then you can see -4 here, I just like pitched things down 4 semitones, which again, you're gonna get digital artifacts, but I like it, you know? I just like the feel of it. That's how it ends. That's it. So that is the album, Fallen Fragments. Coming out soon on, or it might be out by the time I post this full video, on We All Speak in Poems. Thanks for hanging out.